So we
Okay.
are now live, and I am Sarah Towle, and I'm here with Debbie uh,
Waking.
Wehking. Thank you. I was going to say
Yeah.
Wehking. I'm so glad to know finally, after all these years, how to pronounce your last name. So, Debbie and I are fellow witnesses at the border. She appears, though not by name, in chapter 26 of Crossing the Line, in the chapter about the homestead action, the action to close homestead down. So, Debbie, you were there on the front lines with the
Wow.
witnesses who finally
Yes.
got homestead closed. And now you have been on the front lines at the Everglades concentration camp. I refuse to use the crazy, stupid ah moniker
Yeah.
of the administration, but you have been there since the dead of summer in the heat, eaten by mosquitoes, bearing witness to the atrocities there, in as much as you've been able to see them. And
Yes.
I want you to catch us up. I mean, we have had the August 21st court ruling that effectively halted operations, but then operations that got repealed by the state of Florida. Lovely, lovely DeSantis. That was ironic. Um,
Yeah.
and and your latest footage, because for those of you who don't know, Debbie's been posting footage on the Witness at the Border Facebook page. Um, and as a witness, we look for clues. You were there to look, and we look for clues. And the clues that I'm
Yes.
seeing are trucks going in full and coming out empty, which would suggest that they haven't cleared the place, that their folks are still being imprisoned there. So go
Right.
ahead, catch us up.
Okay. The order from the federal judge came out on August 21st. And prior to that, we had noticed a decline in the population. And the order said that the defendants, which is the state of Florida and the Department of Homeland Security, had 60 days to get rid of the remaining detainees and to disassemble and remove specific parts of what they had used in constructing the concentration camp. And so we were really looking out for signs that they were violating that order. And we didn't see anything. We saw a couple things that we thought might be suspicious, but nothing that we could really say, let's call the judge about this one. And that was for a few days while the order was in effect. And then I think it was on September 4th that the 11th Circuit, acting as the Court of Appeal, a three-judge panel, a two-judge majority, by the way, both of them appointed by Trump, said, sorry, whoa,
It's okay.
that was a noisy truck going by.
Atmospherics. We can still
Yes.
hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So, on the 4th, the two-judge majority in that court said, we agree with the defendants. We don't think that it's important for the environment that this take effect now while the appeal goes on. So we're going to stay the order for as long as it takes for this appeal to be settled. And another important detail that most people don't even know is that they also said, and we're going to tell you that, Judge Williams, that you can't even proceed with the litigation of this case until the appeal is settled. And that could be months. It could even be a year.
Oh,
So what happened immediately after that stay was enacted and the order was put on hold was we were out here going, well, are we going to see new detainees? Are we going to see new construction? And for 3, 4, maybe 5 days, we really didn't see any change. It was as quiet as it had been. And then, I don't know, the dams opened and everything came forward, and it's it's stabilized now, but there were a few days when it was just more or less constant, a stream of construction trucks, mostly dump trucks, coming in full and leaving empty. But we are still seeing large numbers of trucks. And the state of Florida requires you to cover up what your load is when you're driving a dump truck. So we don't normally get a good look at exactly what's going in. But then when they leave, the cover, the tarp is rolled up in the front of the truck, and we know for sure that it's empty now. And there
Right.
was at least one truck we saw that was loaded up pretty full, and while it was covered, you could still see on the edge that it was, I don't know whether you would call it small rocks or large gravel. And that, we've been told by people who understand how the process works, is a sign of pavement going on. And in that case, that convinced the judge to order this, evidence was presented that I believe it was aerial photography, that in the short amount of time that they had been open, say July and 3 weeks in August, they had paved over 20 acres
Oh
in
my gosh.
addition to whatever was, yeah. And so that's very bad for the Everglades. And so we think it's coming in so fast and furious that they probably intend to do something similar or worse again. The governor had said at a press conference he had here a few weeks before the court order that he wanted to get the capacity up to 5,000.
Oh
I
my
think it
god.
was maybe at 2,000 already. Possibly it was 3, I'm not sure, but he wanted to get the capacity up to 5,000. The highest we ever heard that we considered reliable was at the beginning of August. There were 1,400 detainees here.
Well,
When the order was issued on August 21st, it was less than 400.
oh,
The day before the order was lifted, I read in an article from somebody who seemed to have gotten it from a reliable source that it was all the way down to 125.
wow.
But when the Mexican consulate, they get in, they're one of the few people who get in. They came in to see some of their constituents, some Mexican citizens, I guess. And when they came out, they spoke to another witness and said that the population was about 400 at that point. And that was, I guess, maybe a week ago. And now, um, just based on the number of buses and vans we see going in, we're estimating it's probably 1,000 people, but that's just an estimate. We don't have any hard evidence of that.
Well, I read that Archbishop Thomas Wensky, who has been ministering to immigrants in South Florida for decades, has been in to say mass, or at least his
Here's what I know.
he
On
said
a Saturday,
1,500 today.
oh, did he? Okay. So 1,500, I'm talking to another witness.
That makes sense.
That makes sense because since we said 1,000, we've seen more buses coming in.
So
Yes.
you're seeing the buses, you're estimating how many if the bus is full, right?
About
How
50.
many? Yeah.
About
Yeah,
50, yeah.
50 per bus.
Yeah. And
Wow.
they come during the day, they come at night, they come at 2 a.m.
And
And generally
are there witnesses there round the clock making kind of a tally?
pretty much, but so we do keep track of and share information about the buses.
Mhm.
There's too many dump trucks to collect data on them.
Mm.
But we can say, yeah, they're still coming fast and furious, you know.
So the damage to the cruelty to humanity, the damage to the ecosystem. I mean, that many people eliminating, what's that doing to the marshlands?
Well, we don't know how bad it's going to be. It's bad. It may be irreparable. Just the lights. There's no electricity. There's no plumbing. There's no sewage. There's no way to cook. There's no bathrooms. So the water comes in big 5,000-gallon tank. I don't know how big the water tankers are. They're just big tankers, bring in the water. And then smaller trucks that hold 4,000 gallons of wastewater go in and bring out the gray water from showers and sinks and the waste matter from the whatever they're using for bathrooms. Don't think porta potty is the right word. And that's expensive. And those trucks have not stopped coming.
Wow.
They slowed down when the population was lower, but they're picking back up now. So that
Yeah.
has to keep happening. They also, in order to have lights, it comes from a company called Sunbelt, and it's a green generator
Mm.
that is fueled by some kind of fossil fuel. I'm not sure what. And on top of it is a stack of very bright lights. And when it's about to get dark, somebody goes around in a truck and turns them all on. We see them come out. There's one that you can see from where I'm sitting that gets lit. And there used to be one on the left side of the street also. It got taken away a couple of weeks ago and hasn't been replaced. And they turn them on and they leave them on all night. And you can see first of all, I should tell you that this area in Big Cypress Preserve has been designated as an international dark sky location. You can
Oh
see the Milky
no.
Way. You can see more stars than you've ever seen in your life. It's positively fabulous. But here, these lights can be seen from 15 miles away.
So that's
And
no good for the wildlife.
that's and it's no good for the Florida panther, which is endangered, for the bonnet bat, which is also endangered and likes to be nocturnal.
Mm.
And for the Florida black bears, they that's it's not good for them either. People who live around here are seeing more bears around their home because if their habitat was where this is now, they had to move.
Wow.
So all
So
these things are being impacted.
devastation upon devastation upon devastation. Debbie, can you turn your phone around and give us a tour of where you are?
Sure, let me see if I can actually, maybe all I have to do is do that.
There we
Um,
go. Oh,
there.
there's that
Did that work?
horrible sign.
Oops, I did it again. Yeah. There's the horrible sign. And the car right underneath it, I don't know if you can tell, it has blue lights flashing. That's an unmarked car that belongs to the Florida Highway Patrol, also known as state troopers.
Oh,
That's the street that takes you back. If do you see the cones and that white truck headed this way?
yep.
That's where the first checkpoint is. And I could get in my car and I could drive back there, but when I get to the checkpoint, they're going to say, do you work here? Do you have an ID? And I'm going to say no. And they'll say, you have to leave and don't come back. And then over here is a marked Florida Highway Patrol car. And that one is in position with somebody in it pretty much 24/7. He may drive away for 10 minutes once, probably for a bathroom break, but he comes back, or she.
Mm.
So now this cars like this, trucks like this, and SUVs and sedans, I think of them as personal vehicles. The staff who work here, what we understand, their schedule is like they work 12-hour days for 21 days in a row for 3 weeks, and then they get 7 days off. And many of them live in trailers back here. So if they have a vehicle, they can be running out, I don't know, to the store for groceries, although that's a long drive. If you go about 6 miles that way, there's a general store and gas station. I don't even know how far you have to go here. There's an art gallery from Clyde Butcher who does fabulous black and white photography of the Everglades about 6 miles that way, but he doesn't sell groceries. So you have to drive very far to get anywhere where you can shop.
So how many miles?
Uh, I don't know about Naples, but to get to a grocery store in Miami, it's probably at least 40, if not 50 miles.
Wow. To go out
And
for
so
milk.
that's why they stay in trailers here. And some people though don't. I don't know what the deal is, who gets a trailer and who doesn't, but some people they have a car and they go home or wherever else they go every night. So
Have
there is
you
a lot of personal vehicles going in and out.
have you tried communicating with some of the people that are working in there?
I'm not very good at it. You know Josh Rubin, right?
Yeah.
Very important figure and witness at the border. He was
Yeah.
here for about a week, and I tend to stand here and hold a sign or sit and take pictures because let me show you what we have here, if I
Sure.
can. Can you see?
Yep, you've got a tent
So we
and
have a couple of canopies, some chairs, some signs. Um, uh, well, we have a shut it down sign and I stand with immigrant sign. And this one I like a lot. Can you read it?
I was only following orders. Brilliant. Excellent. So
And
they get to see
people
that every
who
time they
leave
come out.
exactly have to see it. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And then down here, by the way, this is US 41 Tamiami Trail. The speed limit is 55 or 60. They're sometimes going 70 or 80. And as you can see, we don't have much space.
Yeah, it doesn't feel very safe. We're hearing
Yeah,
those
I
cars
worry.
shoot by at high speeds.
I'm looking. And this is the only space that is a little extended,
Uh-huh.
but it's been raining a lot. So the mud is pretty awful. This is
Oh,
where people who are like Representative Maxwell Frost or State Senator Anna Escamani, when
yeah.
they go manage to get inside and look around, this is where they'll have a press conference. If you're
Gotcha.
Governor DeSantis, you have your press conference inside.
Right. Right.
But
Because he wants to be photographed with the people who are in cages.
yes, yes. And this also is where, for the past several weeks, every Sunday afternoon at 5 p.m., there's an interfaith prayer vigil.
Yes, I saw that yesterday. I was going to ask you about it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
seems to draw a pretty good crowd, but I
it
can't
does.
imagine how you all fit on that shoulder there.
Yeah, well, we come down here
Okay.
for this. And I have one pair of already ruined shoes that I don't mind walking through the mud in,
Okay.
you know,
So,
because it is pretty muddy.
so a couple of questions. The first is, you alluded to Maxwell Frost. When he
What was the
was
first question?
you just alluded to Maxwell Frost, Representative
Yes.
Maxwell Frost,
Yes.
who recently stated that what the Trump administration is doing, this is the epitome of that, is an ethnic cleansing against brown and black people in the United States of America. Would you agree with that sentiment?
100%. And I think part of the reason it's such a significant issue for Representative Frost is that he identifies with that community. Because the
Right.
way what he says is they're arresting people who look like me.
He's Afro-Cuban, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, he
Yeah.
got his start with Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Parkland,
Oh, really?
and
Didn't know that.
yeah, and
Wow.
with organizing March for Our Lives and things like that. At least
Oh,
that's my
okay.
understanding. If I turn out to be wrong, I apologize. But yeah, that's my understanding.
All right, we can check on that. The other question I had is, so everybody, the press has been um, beating the fact that because this is a state-run facility and immigration is actually a federal matter, not a state matter, DeSantis and his ilk have been able to sort of skirt rules and regulations. The most important one being that inmates can contact their lawyers, their family, that they appear on the ICE locator, and inside the Everglades detention camp, they don't, which makes it be a black site, which is an international crime. Is that still the case that folks who go in there are effectively disappeared?
Yes. The Herald just had a big article a few days ago about how they had I think two lists of people who were in this place, totaling 1,800, and they tried to track down where they all are now. And there were, I think, about 800 they couldn't account for. So
Wow.
the conversation now is about 800 people have disappeared. And
Wow.
This reminds me of the Trump won the separation of families when they finally said, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. How many families were never reunited because they didn't know
1,000.
where they were?
1,000 never got reunited
Yeah. And they
all
just
these
don't
years ago.
care enough to write down where people go.
No, they don't care.
It's not that they don't won't share. It's that, in my opinion, it's that they don't know.
Yeah. And
And
are they
it is terrible.
and this site exists on what was once an airstrip that was closed down because of ecological, concerns,
Yeah.
environmental concerns.
Yeah.
Are they using the strip now? Are they actually deporting people from inside there?
DeSantis says they are. We don't see too many airplanes.
Ah,
And interestingly, this was the beginning of what was going to be a global jet port for supersonic planes. Now we're
right,
talking 1973, 74. So,
right,
this is an upcoming industry. And the plan was to put in high speed trains to take you to Miami or to Naples.
right.
So they got as far as building one runway, which I heard is 2 miles long. And in the meantime, the environmentalists, the sportsmen, the hunters, the Miccosukee tribe, everybody got together, formed a coalition, and successfully fought against it. And actually, also, the um, the creation of Big Cypress Preserve was as a result of all this. And all of this material is, all of this land is, and it's a large, large amount. I don't remember how many acres, but it's a large piece of land, is protected and not supposed to be developed. And this in 1974 was the first preserve created in the country. And it was part of the resolution of fighting the jet port.
Wow, right, that was
Yeah. And you know who
fought
was
for.
involved in that fight?
Tell me.
Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, who was one of the people that got the Everglades National Park started too.
Wow.
And she formed an organization called Friends of the Everglades. And guess who the plaintiff is in the case that we're talking about that we got an order we liked, but now it's on hold? Friends of the Everglades. The
Oh,
plaintiffs in that case are Friends of the Everglades, Center for Biodiversity, and the Miccosukee Tribe of Indians.
and the Miccosukee have been very, very active
Yes.
also in
Yes.
getting this encampment shut down. They've been
Yes.
real
Well,
heroes.
they're devastated. This is their land. This is not just land, this is sacred land. And this is heartbreaking for them. And you've probably heard of and seen about Betty Osceola. She's an individual who's been an activist for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think she's an elder in the tribe. And her purpose in coming out here is to pray,
Mm.
and she is aware that there's a feeling of bad around here, and she wants to pray in counteraction of that.
Wow.
But when she comes, then we bother her and talk to her, and she does a live stream, and this is it says 4,000 gallons wastewater, so this is how the human waste and other things are removed when there's no plumbing.
Debbie, let me ask you one more question, then I'll let you go. I'm so grateful that
Okay.
you were able to do this with us today.
I'm
Um,
happy to.
Especially since this is sacred land for the Miccosukee, for
Yeah.
Betty, and there is evil walking the land, and in particular, in this particular spot. How do you all feel when I've noticed in a lot of your postings, folks driving by stop and take selfies with that hideous sign? How does it make you feel when people come by like tourists? In my heart, it's like taking a picture outside of Dachau or Auschwitz.
Yeah. And being happy about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. 20 minutes before we connected, two cars did that. Two separate pairs of visitors came to do that. And it's heartbreaking, and we don't understand it. And whenever somebody new comes out here to witness and they see it, that's the hardest thing. They just keep shaking their hands and saying, "I don't understand. I don't understand." And we don't have any answer.
Wow.
Although my feeling, and it's hard for me to watch too. Okay, see, so maybe they are taking airplanes out of here. Although somebody made a phone call, and jet age fuel provides a variety of different fuels, not just for planes.
Mm.
Because we see that truck or one like it frequently.
So that would suggest that there are planes in there.
Yeah, and we have seen planes, but not recently. We haven't seen very many. I think among the most regular witnesses, there's one person who saw a large plane once, and some others who have seen like a Cessna-sized plane.
Looks like we
Now, let me
got a
just tell you
Taurus.
something. Yeah, yeah. She was just pulled over a minute ago. Now she's checking us out. They do that.
Oh,
Sometimes they do rude things in our direction.
wow.
Sometimes I talk nice to them, and that avoids it. You
Uh-huh.
know.
Wow.
See, so these people are looking too.
Gosh.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Well,
that's how it
well,
works.
you are bearing witness to something that history will not soon forgive. And we are all grateful to you for being out there as often as you can, and to all the other witnesses too. So please give them my gratitude. Um, do you
I
want to
certainly
give
will.
us? Do you want to give us any last updates or insights before we ring off?
I can't help but notice how many additional bad things are coming out of Washington right now. And so, what I would like people to think about is I think we've reached the point in time where we all have to choose sides. Either we're okay with having an authoritarian government that where, we don't have free speech and we get in trouble if we criticize, or we want to remain a democracy.
Right.
And if you're on the side of democracy, you need to start thinking about what you can do. Because
Yeah.
if we're going to successfully resist it, we need as many people as possible to be actively involved in nonviolent non-cooperation.
Yep.
And I know this is what I'm called to do. And I know most people aren't. So
Right.
that's fine. But figure out what you are called to do and
Yeah.
do it. By the way, No Kings 2, October 18th.
Yeah. No, we all have to be a tiny grain of sand, and we all need
Yeah.
to find our lane and drive it with commitment and show up and be those grains of sand hurled into the gears of this machinery of misery to jam it up until these dark days are behind us, and then we'll be ready to build something new from the ashes. We're so grateful to you. Thank you so much for
It was a
making this happen.
pleasure. Sure. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Bye.
Speak soon. Bye.
Okay.